Oh, my queen, sit back because what I'm going to tell you today is going to may change the way you understand male desire forever, Balini. And I'm telling you this straight without beats around the bush because for too long we've believed that male pleasure is an unfathomable mystery when in reality it's a map that anyone can learn to read, Amid. But mind you, what you'll discover isn't just him, it's about you, about your power, about that magnetic force that many believe they've lost over the years, and that was actually just dormant waiting for someone to remind them how to awaken it. And if you stay until the end, I'm going to reveal the best kept secret of male psychology, the one that makes a man unable to get you out of his head, the one that turns an encounter into an emotional addiction. So before you continue, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on the bell because what I share here you won't find in any self-help book or magazine. This is science mixed with pure truth. And trust me, your future self will thank you for it. Now let me start with something that will work for you today. A micro win that you can tonight if you want. When a man gives himself completely in intimacy, when his body responds in a particular intense, almost vulnerable way, it's not just a physical act, it's a neurological surrender. His brain has just released a cascade of dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin that emotionally bonds him to you in a way that he himself does not fully understand. That chemical combination is more powerful than any romantic conversation, deeper than any promise. That's why I'm telling you right now, if he came with that intensity that leaves him speechless, breathing heavily, looking at you as if he's just discovered something sacred, he's already yours. And it's not magic, my love. It's biology, it's psychology, it's feminine power, well understood, but be careful because here comes the part that many women do not understand, and that's why they lose the game without realizing it. And it's not just about provoking that physical response. Anyone with half a brain and an internet at Tubro can learn technique, caliente. Well, what really makes the difference, what turns that moment into a turning point for him is the emotional context in which it happens. And that's where you come in, my queen, with all experience, with all your wisdom as a woman, who knows who she is, who isn't afraid of her own desires, who understands that seduction begins long before getting into bed. Because let me tell you something that might surprise you. Men, especially after 40, aren't just looking for a body. They're looking for an experience, a connection, a woman who makes them feel alive in a way they've forgotten. And that woman can be you, but only if you understand the rules of the game. Let's talk clearly, without filters, because that's the style of this house, and because I think that at this point in life we're too old to use euphemisms. When I say that if he came like this, he's yours, I'm not talking about possession or manipulation. I'm talking about the neurobiological link of a process that occurs in the male brain during orgasm, and that has profound emotional consequences. Well, studies in the neuroscience of attachment that I have studied for years and that I apply in my practice every day show us that the male climax is not just a physical event, it is a moment of extreme neurological vulnerability where the limbic system and the neocortex work together, creating a powerful emotional memory. If at that moment he feels safe, accepted, that truly desired, not only physically but as a person, his brain archives that they experience as something unique and repeatable and links it directly to you. Now, why is this particularly important for us, those women who have already surpassed the ages of 45, 50, and 60 years? Because we live in a culture that has led us to believe that our erotic value diminishes with age, that after a certain stage we are no longer desirable, that men only want young, firm bodies, navies. And I tell you with all the authority that comes from 30 years working with couples, that this is the biggest lie that we have been sold. Mature men, the men who are truly worthwhile, are tired of superficial encounters. They are tired of women who do not know what they want, who are afraid of their own pleasure, who turn intimacy into a performance. And what they are looking for, although many times they do not even know how to articulate it, is a woman who is present, who knows her body, who is not ashamed to ask for what she wants, who understands that sex at our age is infinitely better because it comes with seniority, knowledge, a connection that only experience can then bring. And here is something I want you to engrave in your mind. The difference between a woman who is forgettable and one who becomes an obsession is not her age or her physique. It's in her attitude. It's in that inauthority that she radiates, in that ability to enjoy without inhibitions, in that the knowledge of her own pleasure that also makes him free. Because men, and I can assure you this after hearing about it in my practice, feel enormous pressure during sex. They are constantly evaluating themselves, wondering if they are doing it right, if she is truly enjoying it, or just pretending, if they're bruised, pretending, if their performance is up to par. It's exhausting for them, believe me. But when they are with a woman who genuinely enjoys it, who gives herself without fear, who doesn't judge, who celebrates the encounter as what it is, a moment of connection and mutual pleasure, then everything changes. He relaxes, he opens up, he gives himself in a way that he has perhaps never experienced before. And that is right there where the neurobiological magic I'm talking about happens. Now, let me ask you something, and I want you to ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you truly gave yourself permission to enjoy yourself without guilt, without thinking about how you look, without worrying about whether you're making noise or whether your body looks good from that angle? Because that's exactly the breaking point. Most women spend so much time in their heads during sex that they're never truly present. And men feel it. They perceive that disconnect, lack of genuine surrender, and even though they don't say it, it emotionally distances them. On the other hand, when a woman is fully present, when she allows herself to feel every sensation without mental filters, when her pleasure is authentic and visible, the man experiences something that goes beyond the physical. He experiences validation. He feels capable, powerful, needed. And that combination, my love, is addictive to the male brain. I will share something that I have seen repeatedly in my clinical practice. Couples come to my office where the man is completely disconnected, apathic, come even considering infidelity or separation. And when we dig deeper, when we go beyond the superficial symptoms, we discover that the problem is not a lack of love or even a lack of attraction. The problem is that she has stopped inhabiting herself. She has spent years, sometimes decades, living for others, fulfilling roles, being the perfect mother, the impeccable professional, the responsible daughter, but somewhere along the way, she saw about being a woman body. She stopped connecting with her own desire, with her sensuality, with that wild and free part that we all carry inside. And he, although he can't explain it, perceives it. He senses that emptiness and begins to look outside for what he can no longer find at home. But here's the beautiful thing, the hopeful thing. That fire never goes out completely. It just needs to be rekindled. And the process of rekindling it, of reconnecting with your desire, of learning to inhabit yourself again, not only transforms your intimate life, it transforms your entire life. Now, let's talk about the technique, because I know you're waiting for me to get to that point, but I want you to understand something fundamental. Technique without the right attitude is mechanical, cold, and forgettable. Technique with the right attitude is devastating. And so before I tell you what to do, I need you to understand the why behind each action. When I talk about provoking that kind of intense orgasm in a man, the one that leaves him vulnerable and emotionally connected, I'm not talking about acrobatic moves or impossible positions. I'm talking about creating a space of emotional safety where he can let go completely. And to create that space, you first have to be comfortable in your own skin, so in your own desire of judgment toward yourself and toward toward him, me. Men have a complex relationship with their own vulnerability. Society has trained them since they were young to be children, to be strong, to control their emotions, to never show weakness. And sex, believe it or not, is one of the few spaces where that armor can fall. But it only falls if he feels safe. It only falls if he perceives that he will not be judged, that he can give himself without fear of being seen as weak or less of a man. And that's where your power comes in, my queen. When you create that space of total acceptance, when your attitude communicates to it without words that it's okay to feel, that it's okay to let go of control, that okay to be vulnerable, then he opens up in a way that he's probably never experienced with anyone else. So. And when that happens, when he orgasms in that state of total emotional openness, his brain creates GN creates an unbreakable association between you and that feeling of safety, pleasure, and release. Let me explain a little bit of the science behind it because it fascinates me, because I think when you understand the mechanism, everything makes more sense. During male orgasm, the brain releases a massive amount of dopamine, that neurotransmitter, associated with pleasure and reward. But it's not just dopamine. Oxytocin is also released, known as the attachment hormone, the same one that's released when a mother breastfeeds her baby or when we hug someone we care about. ABC. This oxytocin creates emotional bonds, generates feelings of trust and connection. Additionally, vasprazolam is released, which in men is specifically associated with forming pair bonds and with their protective and committed behaviors. Now imagine all that chemical cocktail being released while he is with you, while his last conscious image before losing himself in pleasure is your face, your body, your presence, your presence. His brain is literally recording you as a source of maximum pleasure, as a sikuku or attachment figure, as the person who makes him feel complete. That, my love, is not forgotten. That creates a neurological imprint that will make him come back, that will make him think of you when he least expects it, that will make you his reference for what pleasure should be. But be careful, and this is crucial, this process only works if it is genuine. If you do it from a manipulative perspective, if your intention is to control or trap, the result will be the opposite. Men, although they are often not aware of it, have a very fine radar for detecting a lack of authenticity. They may not know how to explain what it is that generates distrust, but they sense it. And when they sense that something is not genuine, their defenses are activated, and instead of opening up, they close down. That's why I insist so much that this work begins with you, with your reconnection, with your own desire, with your own truth. When you are genuinely enjoying yourself, when your pleasure is real, he perceives it, and that frees him to surrender completely. Now let's get practical, but from a place of empowerment, not submission, because here we have to break with a harmful myth that circulates out there that to please a man, you have to nullify yourself, you have to do the things you don't like, you have to be sakasikana what he wants. Lie. Absolute lie. A man who values you wants to be with a woman who has her own desires, who knows what she likes and what she doesn't, who actively participates in the construction of shared pleasure. So everything I'm going to share with you starts from that premise. Your pleasure is just as important as his. And in fact, your genuine pleasure is what will enhance his. The first thing you have to understand is that seduction begins long before the bedroom. It begins with how you talk to yourself when you look in the mirror. It starts with the way you walk around your house when you know he's watching. It starts with that quiet confidence that radiates from a woman who knows she's desired because she desires herself. And this has nothing to do with having a perfect body by magazine standards. It has to do with inhabiting your body with love, with acceptance, with pride. I've seen 60-year-old women with stretch marks, with cellulite, with bodies that have given birth, who have lived life, who are absolutely magnetic because they move through the world from a place of personal power. And I've seen young women with magazine bodies be completely invisible because they don't believe in their own worth. The difference is in the attitude, always. So the first exercise I'm going to give you is this one, and I want you to do it before you try anything else. Stand in front of the mirror, naked, and instead of looking for flaws, look for beauty. Look for the marks that tell your story. No. Stretch marks that speak of the lives you brought into the world or the stages of your life. Those curves that speak of shared meals, celebrations, pleasure, that skin that has felt the sun, the wind, the caresses of it, the caresses of those who have loved you. Your body is not your enemy, my queen. It is your temple. It is your vehicle. It is the instrument through which you experience pleasure. And when you change your relationship with your own body, when you look at it with love, and instead of criticism, something will change in your energy. You will begin to move differently, to touch yourself differently, to allow yourself to be touched differently, and it will notice. And it will notice. I guarantee it. Now let's talk about the previous connection, because that is another point where many women fail without realizing it. They arrive at the intimate moment dragging the stress of the day, the worries, the dependent mental lays, and expect desire to simply appear. But desire, especially feminine desire, needs a context. That needs your mind to be present, your body to be relaxed, your heart to be open. And to achieve that, you need rituals of transition. They can be simple. They don't have to be elaborate. It could be a mindful shower where you touch yourself with intention, where you awaken your skin. It could be putting on that underwear that makes you feel beautiful, not for him, but for yourself. It could be putting on music that connects you with your sensuality, lighting a candle, taking a moment to breathe and let go of everything that doesn't belong in this space that you're about to create. And here's something that might surprise you. You can invite him into that transition ritual too. Many times men come to sex with the same amount of stress that we do, but no one. How to make that transition? So suggest that you shower together, not necessarily with immediate sexual intention, but as an act of reconnection. Wash his hair. Let him wash yours. Take your time feeling the water, breathing together, man. That simple action activates oxytocin in both of you, starts to generate connection, starts to take you out of survival mode and into connection mode. And when you finally get to the intimate encounter, you'll be in a completely different state. Now, about the encounter itself, let me tell you something that men rarely verbalize, but is absolutely true. They love it when a woman takes the initiative, but not just any initiative. They love it when a woman takes the initiative out of genuine desire, not out of obligation or an attempt to please. There is a huge difference between a woman who initiates sex because she feels she has to or because she wants to withhold it, and a woman who initiates sex because she genuinely wants it, because her body is asking for it, because she wants to experience pleasure and wants to share it with him. That difference is palpable, it is energetic, and he feels it in every cell of his body. So when you feel desire, express it. Don't wait for him to always initiate. Don't wait for perfect signals or ideal moments. If you want it, tell him, show him, take it and do it. From your power, from your certainty that your desire is valuable, it is legitimate. It is a gift that you are choosing to share, because that is where the real change in dynamics begins. When you stop being the one waiting and become the one who chooses, the one who actively desires, he begins to see you differently. You begin to be not just the object of his desire, but a deciding subject, a force of nature, a complete woman. And that, believe me, is infinitely more attractive than any passive performance. During the encounter, presence is key, and by presence I mean being there completely, without mental, distractions. I know it's easier said than done, especially for us women who tend to have 1,000 things going on in our heads at the same time. But that's precisely the exercise. Bringing your attention back again and again to the present, to the sensations in your body, to the connection with him, to the pleasure you're building together. Every time your mind wanders and is about to wander, gently bring it back. It can help to focus on your breathing, to synchronize it with his. It can help to make eye contact, to hold his gaze, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It can help to verbalize what you're feeling, not with fancy words, but simply letting the natural sounds of your pleasure come out. And speaking of sounds, here's something important I want to clarify. Many women tell me that they're embarrassed to make noise, that they're self-conscious, that they'd rather stay silent. But silence, my love, is one of the biggest killers of male desire, because he needs feedback. He needs to know that you're enjoying what he's doing. He needs to hear your pleasure. I'm not saying you have to fake it or that you have to exaggerate. I'm saying give yourself permission to genuinely express what you're feeling. If you like something, say so. If you want more of something, say so. If you need him to change the pace or intensity, guide him. That active communication, that constant feedback not only enhances the experience for both of you, but it's incredibly exciting for him, because it confirms that you're present, that you're enjoying yourself, that this moment is real. Now, something that makes a huge difference and that very few women understand, zeselo, rhythm. Most intimate encounters follow a predictable, almost mechanical pattern. They start slow, gradually building in intensity until they climax, but the memorable encounters, the ones that are etched into his brain forever, are the ones that play with rhythm. The ones that alternate between moments of intensity and moments of pause. The ones that build tension and then release it, only to build it again. This has to do with how the nervous system works. When you maintain a steady rhythm, the body gets used to it. The sensations start to become predictable. But when you alternate, when you introduce elements of a surprise, when you play with anticipation, the nervous system stays alert, the sensations intensify, the pleasure multiplies. So practice this. When you feel him approaching climax, instead of keeping up the pace to get him there, stop. Change what you were doing completely. Lower the intensity. Take a moment to kiss him slowly, to caress him without genital intent, to breathe together. Let the urgency dissipate a little bit, and then build it back up. Bring him back to that point, but this time on a different path, at a different pace, and if necessary, stop again. Why yin kick in? You're playing with his nervous system, you're multiplying the sensations, you're turning what could have been a 10-second orgasm into an experience of extended pleasure that can last much longer. And when you finally let him come, when he can't take it anymore, when his body demands that release, it's going to be with an intensity that he's probably never experienced before. And that intensity is exactly what creates that neurological connection that I was talking about at the beginning. But here's something I need you to understand with absolute clarity, and that is that all this that I'm sharing with you is not that you're going to apply mechanically. It's not a recipe where you follow the steps and get the guaranteed result. It's an art that requires you to be present, to be connected to him, to be reading his body, his responses, his energy. Every man is different. What one person is excited about may leave another indifferent. That's why communication is key. And this is where many couples fail, because they have never learned to talk about sex without discomfort, without shame, or making it awkward. So my recommendation is that you start creating a culture of open communication about intimacy. And I'm not talking about having uncomfortable conversations in the middle of the act. I'm talking about creating safe spaces outside of the bedroom where you can talk about what you like, what you want to explore, what you're curious about. It could be over a quiet dinner, it could be on a walk, it could be texting each other throughout the day. The idea is to normalize these conversations, take the pressure off of them, make it something natural and fluid. And when you do that, when you create that space for honest communication, everything else flows much and easily, because you both know you can express what you need, you can express what you need without fear of judgment. Now, I want to touch on a topic that I know is sensitive for many women our age, but it's absolutely crucial: hormonal aspect and how they affect our desire and sexual response ever since. Because let's be honest, many of us, both of our have already gone through perimenopause or menopause, and that brings real changes to our bodies. Lubrication can decrease libido, can fluctuate sensitivity, can change, and this can lead to frustration. It can make you feel less of a woman. It can make you avoid intimacy because you're afraid your body won't respond the way it used to. But here's the you need to hear. These changes aren't the end of your sex life. They're simply a new stage that requires you to adapt, to explore new forms of pleasure, to allow yourself to get to know your body in this new version. Vaginal dryness, for example, which is something many experience after menopause, has a solution. There are wonderful lubricants on the market. There are hormone treatments if you decide to explore that option with your doctor. There are pelvic floor exercises that can help. But beyond the practical solutions that you do, important thing is that you don't see it as a flaw or something to be ashamed of. It's simply a feature of the stage of your life, like having less energy at 8 at night or needing glasses to read. It doesn't define your worth or your ability to give and receive pleasure. What can define you is your attitude towards these changes. If you approach them with openness, with a willingness to adapt, with humor, they can even become completely manageable. If you approach them with shame and avoidance, they become an insurmountable obstacle. And here's something beautiful that I've seen over and over again. Many women tell me that their sex life improved after menopause. And it's not a paradox, it makes perfect sense and moons. Because you no longer have the fear of unwanted pregnancy, because your children are probably grown and you have more privacy and fewer interruptions, because you're no longer so conditioned by what it's supposed to be like, and it may simply be because you've gained experience. Isa kisibili paling asim self-knowledge, confidence, all of these factors, when you take advantage of them consciously, can make this stage the most sexually fulfilling, but it requires that you make that change of mentality, that you stop seeing the changes as losses and start seeing them as transformations that are opening doors to new ways of experiencing pleasure. Returning to the central topic, the exact moment when he reaches orgasm there is something that I want you to practice that will exponentially multiply that emotional bond that I have been talking about. At the exact moment when he is coming, hold his gaze. I know it can feel intense, even too intimate, but that is precisely why it is so powerful, ay karimas. In that moment of maximum vulnerability, when he is completely exposed, when his control vanishes, let your eyes be the last thing he sees. Let your face be the image that his brain associates with that absolute pleasure. Accompany him. Don't look away. Stay present. Let him feel like you're there with him, that you're not afraid of his vulnerability, that you're celebrated, that even that simple act of holding his gaze during his orgasm creates an emotional connection that goes far beyond the physical. It's a moment of true intimacy, the kind that's etched into your soul. And afterward, and this is just as important, stay. Don't get up right away to shower or check your phone or do anything else. Stay in that space, holding each other, breathing together, allowing your bodies to gradually calm down. This post-orgasmic period is crucial because oxytocin levels are still high, the feeling of connection is still there, and it's the perfect time to strengthen that bond. Talk if you feel like it, or just be silent or connected together. Caress him gently, kiss him without urgency, tell him something genuine about what you just shared. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be something as simple as how much you enjoyed being with him, but let him know that for you that moment was special, that it wasn't just a routine physical act, that it was a real encounter between two people who choose each other. Now, I know some of you are listening to all this and thinking, but my relationship isn't at that point. The spark went out years ago. There's been no interest from either of you for a long time now. And to you, I say with all my heart, it's not too late. As long as you both continue to choose to be together, as long as there's even a modicum of willingness to reconnect, there is hope. But it does require both of you, but especially you, because you're the one seeking information, to be willing to step out of your comfort zone, to try new things, to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable again. And many times it requires professional help, because when dysfunctional patterns have been in place for years, breaking them alone can be very difficult. But if your relationship is at a point where there's still connection, where there's still attraction, even if it's latent, then Bevry can be the catalyst you need to move from a predictable, routine, intimate life to a vibrant, fulfilling, intimate life. And don't underestimate the ripple effect this has on everyone else, aspects of your relationship. When intimacy improves, everything improves. Communication becomes more fluid, conflicts are resolved more easily,